Let's begin with the poem. Away, away in the Northland, where the hours of the day are few, and the nights are so long in winter that they cannot sleep them through. So now the poetess begins this poem by telling you the story of Northland, that it was winter's time. And it is away, away, a countryside away in the Northland, a very village. It was completely in a village in the Northland where the hours of the days were few. As we all know that in winters, days are comparatively shorter than the nights. So the same thing happened. The hours of the day were very few and the nights were very long. Why it was long? Because it was winter's time. And it was so cold that they cannot sleep them through. The wind in Northland, the winters were so chilly, they were so cold that people were not able to sleep at night because of cold. It's very hard for people to sleep at night and to pass the whole night because of the cold weather. Where they harness the swift reindeer to the sledges when it snows. Now what he's saying is that the people of Northland, they harness the swift reindeer. Reindeer is actually a type of animal which is being used as to pull the cart in the snowy area. You might have seen a small deer, and harness is basically ropes which are being tied to these type of animals. Like in plain areas in summer where there is not that much of snow, we use cows and horses. We tie ropes to their neck, and then there is a cart which is attached to it. Okay, sort of tonga, but here it is cart which is attached. So where they harness, they refers to the people of Northland. So what they do, they harness the reindeer. They tie ropes to reindeer to the sledge. Sledge is again a cart जो ऐसे slide करती है. You might have seen it in the snowy area when it snows. So when it is snowy, so people are not able to walk on the snow. It's not possible because your feet would keep on digging the snowy surface. So that's why people, they use sledge to slide it over the snow. So as the people who are doing, and the children look like bear's cub, and the children, they're looking very funny because they are all covered with so many clothes and with fur that they have started looking like a bear cubs, bears young ones. They have started looking like in their funny furry clothes because they are wearing a lot of furry clothes. So that's why they seem to be like a bear cubs. They tell them a curious story. So who they? The people, their parents, their ancestors, they tell a curious story to their kids. I don't believe this true. So poetess is saying that she does not believe that this story is true because this story is very doubtfully. The people think that this cannot be true, and that's why the poetess has also believed that I don't know whether it's true or not. And yet you may learn a lesson. But still, even if you think it's not true, let's see, I want you people to decide that it is true or not. It's up to everybody, but poetess does not believe it to be true. But she says that this story will surely give you a lesson if I tell the tale to you. If I tell the story to you people, then I know it very well that you are going to learn a lesson through this story, even if you believe that the story is not at all true. Now from here, you can see what the poetess is trying to do. Poetess in the introduction part, like a kind of introduction she has given to the poem while telling you about the people of Northland and telling you that it was winter's time and how is the weather over there and how is the situation over there during the winters. And then she starts telling the tale which she has also heard it from her parents, and now she is passing on to other generation. Now let's see what she further says. Once when the good Saint Peter lived in the world below. Now see, she is talking about Saint Peter, which is believed to be one of the generations or one of the favorite, or you can say messenger of Christ. So Saint Peter was actually type of messenger of Christ, or you can just say he was a saint. Okay, so he was a very renowned, very popular saint who lived in the world below. World below means who lived on the planet Earth. So according to Christianity, world is divided, the whole universe is divided into three parts. That is heaven, which is the sky, and then earth, and then hell. Earth is a mediocre of it is in the medium, and it is actually consists of both good and evil things. Hell is only good things, and heaven is all the good things, and hell is all the evil things, and in between it is earth. So as earth is in between, it means it is combination of good and bad deeds. So that's why the saint lived below. Below means here he lived on the planet earth, and walked about preaching just as he did, So he was just walking here and there. That's what the saints do. So saints, like nowadays, what saints, they have a proper area where they go and pray, proper temples, we can say, okay, ashram as we call it. But now earlier it was not the case. Earlier saint used to wander from here and there, and they used to preach all the good things, as we all are very aware of. So the poetess is saying that what the saint did, he would just walk about anywhere, wandering without any purpose. The saint are moving and just preaching all the good things, and he did as he's supposed to did. You people are very well aware of. He came to the door of a cottage. In traveling around the earth, while moving from one place to another, he reached at the door of a cottage. So it was a normal cottage door where he reached, and what he saw over there was where a little woman was making cakes and baking them on the earth. So when he went there, he went close to the lady, and he saw into the cottage. So as he peeped into the cottage, he saw that there was a woman, a very small little young woman, who was making cakes, who was actually making cakes and was baking them. So first of all, she was making the batter, and then the batter she was pouring it into the and for baking purpose on the hearth. Hearth is again a oven which is made of woods. Okay, so now as earlier time, people were not having all the fancy ovens which you have nowadays. So how people used to bake? They used to make a oven kind of structure, and which was actually on the woods. So there were woods and a gold surface hota tha, where people used to put their cakes for baking. Then, and being faint with fasting, for the day was almost done. Now Saint Peter was actually fasting for the whole day. Fasting means he has not eaten anything. He was very hungry for the entire day, and as the whole day has passed and he has not eaten anything, he was almost being faint. Faint is to feel unconscious. Okay, he was not feeling well because he has not eaten anything from a very long period of time. So he asked her from her store of cakes to give him a single one. So as he was very hungry and as he has not eaten anything, so what he asked her was that to give him a little piece of cake, so that he could actually satisfy his hunger and he would not actually faint. So that's why he requested the lady to give her from a lot of cakes and from her lot of cakes which she has actually baked. So he requested her to give him a single piece of cake. So she made a very little cake, but as it baking lay, she looked at it through, it seemed too large to give away. Now, so as the saint requested for a piece of cake, for a slice of cake, so she started making, because she thought that whatever cakes she is having, they are too huge, and she started making a little cake for the saint. So she knit the dough and then she prepared the dough, and as it was almost ready to bake and she put it into the oven, into the heat, she realized that the cake which was actually baking was too huge. She looked at it and thought that it is too large to give away, that this cake is too large if she wants to give away to somebody. Therefore, she needed another. So the cake was actually baking, but she actually thought that cake is too huge. So she needed another. She made another cake. She started making the batter for another cake, still a smaller one. So she would actually see, and then she would the previous cake that she made, the new cake which she was knitting actually was a very smaller one, and she was looking at it from all the angles. But it looked, when she turned it over, as large as the first had done. So as her cake was ready and she was already just putting it in for the baking purpose, she was looking it upside down and she turned it, and then she thought that it is the same size which she has actually kept inside. Okay, it again, she found it in the same size, though it was comparatively smaller. The cake was smaller, but she thought that it is looking like in the same size. It's almost the same size. For she had my cake. So now what she says is very important line of the poem that you need to remember. So she said, my cakes that seem too small when I eat of them myself are yet too large to give away. So she put them on the shelf. Now she says that my cakes that seemed to be so small when I eat for myself, but they seem to be too large when I want to give it away. So whatever, then again the second cake which she baked, she again kept it on the shelf because she did not want to give the second cake as well. Now see the character of this lady, of the baker. First of all, we conclude that she was a very selfish lady, okay, who was so selfish that she could not even give a piece of cake to somebody who was very hungry. And she was making it small and small and small, but she could not realize that the cake was such a small piece of cake, but when she wants to eat it for herself, the piece was very small. But when she wanted to give it away to somebody, so that piece was too large, which clearly shows that she was a very greedy lady. Now, but this is something that happens with most of us. If you want something for ourselves, okay, we will think that, suppose if I'm talking about your favorite food, if you love some sort of food, maybe it is a burger or a pizza, okay, let's talk about a pizza. Okay, you will think that small size pizza is too small. Even if your stomach is full, then also you will think that this is a very small pizza, I want a larger one. Okay, but if you have to give the same pizza to somebody else, maybe you have to send it as a gift, or maybe you want, if somebody asks you to give you that pizza, then you will think, nahi yaar, small size is enough. Iske liye small size, I should order small size for this person, right? It happens with everybody. So when we are supposed to give something to other people, we feel that piece of whatever the food is too much. But if we want to consume it for ourselves, we feel that this is too less. The same thing happened with the lady, but here the lady was very greedy, that she did not even consider that he was a saint who was about to faint also, because he has not eaten anything. Then good Saint Peter grew angry. So good Saint Peter, because Saint Peter was actually otherwise a very good man. He was not at all a bad man, but this thing made him very angry. He became so angry and so furious that what kind of lady she is. She is such a greedy lady. For he was hungry and faint, because he was so hungry and he was almost about to faint. He was not even feeling good about his body, because he has not eaten since day, and he was very hungry. And surely such a woman was enough to provoke a saint. And surely the act of this woman, whatever she was doing, was enough to provoke. Provoke means to bring out the anger of a saint. So by her act, whatever she was doing, whatever greediness she was actually showing it to saint, it was enough to make the saint angry. Okay, now the saint became very angry. Now you know what angry saints they do. And he said, you are far too selfish to dwell in human form. That you are very selfish lady, that you do not deserve to become a human, because human beings are somebody who are full of emotions, right? We are full of emotions, and that's why we are different from animals. Animals, they do not have emotion. Agar aap bhookhe ho, pyase ho, and you go to animal is never going to feed you, because animals, they do not have emotions. But we human beings have. As a human being, we have a lot of emotions. If somebody is in some problem, if somebody is in misery, we would surely go and help that person. But animals, they won't do it. So that's why he says that, now saint says that you are not at all a good person who deserve to be a human being, that you do not deserve to dwell in human, to be in a human form. You don't deserve to be a human being. To have both food and shelter. You don't deserve to have even food and shelter. You do not deserve to have both these things, and fire to keep you warm. That you have all the things in this world which a person needs to lead a comfortable life, but you do not deserve it, because you are not at all a good human being. So that's why Now you shall build as the birds do. Now the poetess says that now you will be doing the same thing as the birds do. And what the birds do? They build. They build their own nest, they eat their own food. And shall get your scanty food. Scanty is a very small amount of food. Now the Peter says that now the Peter is actually giving a kind of curse to the lady. Shrap de raha hai wo. And in that what he says is that now I'm turning you into a bird. Now she is actually being turned into a bird, and even for small food, whatever food she requires, she has to bore all day. Okay, bore is you might have seen birds. They have long beak. If I talk about woodpeckers especially, they keep on digging into the tree. Okay, so that is bore. Bore here means this, boring and boring. Boring does not mean a boring class or boring lecture. Here boring means to dig into something. And shall gets your scanty food by boring and boring and boring all day in the hard dry wood. So now the poetess says that if you want your food, then there is only one way you can get it, and that is you have to bore and bore. Like birds, they do it. Like birds, they dig into the trees to get small scanty food, that is like small insects they get. So similar way you will be boring the trees, because now I am turning you into a bird, because you are a very selfish lady who do not deserve to be a human being. Now you see there is a rhyming scheme in this, that is the second and the fourth line of the poem is actually having a rhyming scheme, like faint, saint, form, warm, food, wood. So all these are rhyming words in rhyming scheme. Then the poetess says that then up she went through the chimney. Now, as soon as the Saint Peter, he finished his words, the lady became into a bird and she went up through a chimney. So, there's a chimney in the house. So, there was chimney in the kitchen, her kitchen also, where she was baking. And through that chimney, she went out of the cottage, never speaking a word. Now, she could not even speak a single word because she has become into a bird. And birds, they do not speak, they just chirp. And out of the top flew a woodpecker, for she was changed into a bird. Now what happened to her? She was changed into a bird, and that's how from there flew a woodpecker. There was no person who was left, it was just a bird which was there. And then he says that, and she had a scarlet cap on her head, and that was left the same. Now, the lady who was actually, first of all, she was baking, she was having a scarlet cap on her head. So it remained as it is, as a symbol that people should know that she is actually a lady who used to bake cakes. She was a baker who was so selfish. That's why the hat on her head is still the same. And that's what you can even see on the head of woodpecker. Woodpeckers also, they have same kind of hat. And that was left the same, but all the rest of her clothes were burned. But rest of the clothes which she was wearing, they burned into ashes. They were burned, and she did not wear anything. That's why birds, they do not wear anything. Black as coal in the flame. So the flame where she was actually baking her stuff, into baking her cakes, and there all her clothes were being burnt over there, and it was all into the flame. All the clothes which she was wearing went into the flame, and has turned black as a coal. Now every country schoolboy, whichever country you are, every school children, they know, they might have seen this bird, has seen her in the woods. Now I believe you have also seen woodpecker, and if not, then I would suggest you to go into the forest, into the woods. There you'll surely find this bird, woodpecker, or look around your house, look around on the trees, you will surely find woodpecker. So he says that every schoolboy, every person, every child who has gone to school has seen this bird, where she lives in the trees till this very day. So till date, where this woodpecker is actually living, she is living on the trees, boring and boring for food. Now what this woodpecker is actually doing, woodpecker is just boring and boring. She's putting her beak into the tree in order to get some food, a little food that she could arrange. Now why this all thing, so this was a very simple story or poem you can say, where why this thing happened with the baker was actually because of her greediness, because she was so greedy, she was so cruel, and that is what the lesson you have learned from this story. Let's quickly jump to the conclusion or central idea.